So I'm going to talk a little bit about working structure, learning structure, and possibly patterning with mid-depth running crankbaits. We had a couple of trips recently. This really came into play, but it's a great tool to learn for anybody, and especially in the front of the boat. The person in the front of the boat normally is casting up over the structure in a lot of cases. Working that structure, sometimes a real efficient lure like a bucktail, and it's more or less the 90-degree type thing. But in this particular case, you're taking a medium depth or maybe a deeper diving crankbait, depending on how steep your structure. And again, every lake is a little bit different. But we're taking, this is a Squeaky Pete Livingston lure. It runs about 6 feet deep. This particular lake isn't real deep. And I'm going to use this to kind of figure out the structure, especially if I've never fished this lake before and I don't know the spot, and hopefully to pattern fish as well. So what I mean by that is, in this particular case, we've got a weed line here. It's fairly straight and it runs this way. But if you don't know this, especially if you don't have a map, a GPS map or anything like that, you can actually learn how that structure is shaped and how it's set up by using a crankbait like this. And very simply what you're doing is picking it apart. Rather than just throwing 90 degrees all the time, you're going to throw one here, you're going to throw one there, and when you throw one here, a little bit more in, what you're trying to do is figure out, am I hitting the structure, whatever that structure might be. In this case, it's weeds. In Canada last week, it was rocks, all right? So all of a sudden you start banging the rocks, you know it's real shallow there, you know that you don't want to go right up there with your boat, and you also know that if you're trying to test the edge of the structure, that your next cast will be now out this way. Same thing if I just hit weeds up there with that last cast. I know, especially if I got really gobbed up, I know I probably don't want to cast right there again. But now I change my angle a little bit. I throw about 15, 20 degrees. Nothing's going to be perfect, but you throw a little bit more out. And you're checking to see, am I on the edge of the structure now, or did I hit the structure again? Let's say you hit the structure again. Now you go 15, 20 degrees even further out, throw another cast. Somewhere along the line, you're going to be coming right down the edge of that structure, and you're going to have casts where you're throwing out into deep water and actually coming back. All of that is good, because what it's helping you do is it's helping you read that structure as you go along. Again, shallow, shallow. Sooner or later, you're going to find that edge. If you're casting out and you're constantly hitting deep, 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 you know you got to turn back into the structure. And then the other thing you're doing is you're covering that edge real well naturally by doing this, and you can pattern where the fish are coming from. If every time you see a fish or get a strike or whatever is when you're banging bottom up there, you know the pattern's shallow. You may want to get your boat even tighter and go to shallower presentations. If you know that every time you come off the shallow stuff and you're out on the edge and you get action there, you know you better concentrate on the edge, and possibly everything may be happening deeper where you're actually throwing deeper and coming in. Again, at that point you can adjust your boat positioning and probably catch and see more fish.